Trying to navigate a herpes diagnosis on your own can feel incredibly lonely. After you get the news, all you want to do is keep it to yourself and deal with it privately. And at first, that can feel like the best option. You don't have to explain yourself, you don't have to answer questions, and you don't have to deal with other people's reactions or the stigma. But over time, going at it alone starts to take a toll and it becomes mentally exhausting. And when you're left alone with your thoughts long enough and there's no place to let it all out, those thoughts start playing on rinse and repeat over and over again. And honestly, that can drive you crazy. So today, I want to talk about why healing in isolation doesn't work, what happens when you try to handle this alone, and why community and belonging matter more than what most people think. Hi, I'm Kat Dupree, and I help people to navigate life with herpes. This is episode 9 of the Shift Your Mindset About Herpes series. Up until now, we've talked about inner work, about how your thoughts, your beliefs, and how the story you tell yourself after diagnosis shapes how you feel and how you move through the world. We've also talked about forgiveness, letting go of what happened, and releasing the anger and the resentment that can keep you stuck in the past. And all of that's important because it's a huge part of the healing process. But there's another piece that often gets overlooked, even when you're doing the inner work and when you're working toward forgiveness. And that's what happens when you try to face your diagnosis alone. Because healing isn't just about what you work through internally. It's also about having people you can talk to who get what you're dealing with and who remind you that you're not alone. After I received my diagnosis, I didn't tell anyone. Not my friends, not my family, no one. I literally kept it to myself for 7 years. Maybe you haven't told anyone either, or maybe you told one person and that's it. And when you're holding on to something as important as this, it can feel very isolating. To everyone in your life, everything looks great on the outside, but on the inside, you feel like you're falling apart. And as much as I knew that there were millions of others in the same boat as me, I still felt alone. The stigma itself keeps you in hiding because you know what people think about herpes, and the last thing you want is to be judged or worse, ridiculed. But as time went on, I would say about, 2 years after I got the news, I really craved connection. Don't get me wrong, I have a lot of friends and an amazing family, but there was something missing. And that was having people in my life who could relate to me and that understood what I was going through. People I could vent to, cry with, and also help to support them on their journey too. Believe it or not, there wasn't much support available when I was diagnosed, and no one dared to post anything on social media about it. I also wanted to find love again. And at the same time, I thought having an intimate relationship with anyone was off the table and that no one would want to be with me. Then one afternoon, when I was feeling really down about my situation, I literally searched having herpes sucks, because that's how I really felt about it after 2 years of dealing with it. And then out of nowhere, an ad popped up, which was a dating site for people that not only had herpes, but other STIs. And I was like, what? I literally stared at the screen in disbelief because I had no idea that something like that was even a thing. And for the first time in a long time, I started to believe that not only was a relationship possible, but so was finding other people to talk to who were just like me. Now, I wasn't really sure what to think at first, but I was definitely curious about it. And that curiosity ended up taking me down a path filled with connection, comfort, and a few unexpected truths that I didn't see coming. Here's what I didn't understand back then. Keeping something like this to yourself doesn't just feel lonely. It actually makes everything feel so much harder. When you don't have anyone to talk to, everything stays in your head. There's no place to vent, so you just try to deal with it. And I don't know about how you process things, but I used to be the type of person who would internalize everything. You see, I grew up believing that sharing your feelings and being vulnerable was a sign of weakness, and that it was better to keep things to yourself and to deal with it alone. So that's what I did. After a while, I told myself I was fine, that I had accepted it, and that I didn't need to talk to anybody about it. But that didn't mean it still wasn't bothering the hell out of me. There wasn't a moment for a long time that I didn't think about it, quite honestly. I mean, my diagnosis was constantly on my mind, especially if someone new wanted to meet me. But here's the thing. When there's no outlet, you can't begin to move forward and heal. Keeping things inside starts to affect your mood and how you move through life. For example, you may feel more irritable and disconnected even when you're surrounded by people. And what's crazy is that no one around you even knows that any of this is happening, not even the people closest to you. They see you're functioning, that you're living your life, and that you seem to be happy. So they assume everything's good. And you don't want to tell them what's really going on with you because you don't want to feel embarrassed or judged in any way. So you just keep it all bottled up. And when you do that, isolation starts creeping in. Not because you don't have anyone in your life, but because there's no one you know that would even get what you're going through. And when you don't have people like that in your life, you start turning it all on yourself. You may think, why am I still struggling with this? Get over it already. I just want to move on. Millions of people have this, so it shouldn't be such a big deal. But the fact is, it is a big deal. Not only physically, but even more so emotionally. And this is why having a support system and people you can turn to that understand your situation matters so much. Here's the thing. Support doesn't look the same for everyone. Sometimes it starts with just wanting a place where you don't have to explain yourself or hide parts of your life, right? I found that one of the hardest things for me was that even though I had an amazing group of friends and a wonderful family, herpes still had a way of making me feel like an outsider. It's like as if you don't belong somehow. One of my favorite authors of all time, Brené Brown, talks about this in her book called Braving the Wilderness. And if you haven't read it, I suggest you do, as it totally changed the way I now think about what belonging means. One of the things she says is that belonging isn't something we negotiate with other people. It's not about changing who you are to be accepted. It's about being able to stay true to yourself and still feel connected. Because the moment you start hiding parts of who you are just to fit in, you might be accepted on the surface, but you stop belonging to yourself. I believe this is exactly what happens to so many people after they're diagnosed. You don't stop wanting connection. You don't stop wanting love. You just stop feeling safe enough to be yourself. For me, when I finally reached a point where I knew I couldn't keep doing this alone, I started searching for some kind of support. I looked for groups online and I tried to find people who were talking about this openly. And honestly, there wasn't much out there at the time. Like I mentioned earlier, it wasn't until I was Googling things like having herpes sucks that I stumbled across an ad for a dating site for people like us. At first, I was stunned that it even existed. But after sitting with it for a bit, I decided to create a profile. Not just because I wanted a chance at love again, but because I wanted to connect with people who actually understood what I was going through. People I didn't have to explain myself to, and people who already understood the fear, the emotions, and the reality of living with herpes. And the dating site worked for a while. I went out with some cool people and even met someone I dated for about a year. But there came a point where I realized I wasn't just looking to date. I wanted friends who got it too. people I could talk to without it always being about romance or intimacy. The thing is, when it comes to herpes, everyone is at a different place in their journey. Some people are newly diagnosed and just trying to wrap their head around it. And some people want support or friendship. And some people want community. And yes, some people even want love too. I still craved these things after being diagnosed over 10 years ago while coming out and telling my story. So that's why I created Herpes Wellness. I wanted a place where people could go, including myself, no matter where they were at. So whether you're either looking for support or you're looking for friendship or connection or possibly even love, because healing isn't one size fits all, and neither is community and a feeling of belonging. If there's anything I want you to take away from this episode, it's this. Trying to handle herpes diagnosis on your own might feel easier at first, but over time, it makes everything so much harder. Keeping it to yourself doesn't help you heal. It just leaves you dealing with it without support. Healing isn't just about mindset or forgiveness. It's also about connection and also about having people or spaces where you can just be yourself and you don't have to hide parts of your life. Whether you're newly diagnosed or been living with herpes for years, it's natural to want support and connection. And always remember, you don't have to go on this journey alone. Well, that's all I have for today. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you haven't subscribed yet, whether you're watching on YouTube or listening on audio, be sure to do that so you don't miss future episodes, especially the ones in this series. Also, if you're tired of navigating your condition alone, come join us at Herpes Wellness. Membership gives you access to a private online community with forums, chat rooms, and monthly live streams where you can ask questions, make friends, find love, and get support from people who truly get what you're going through. If you want support on the go, you can always download the Herpes Wellness app, available in both the App Store and in Google Play. The links to our website and the app are in the description. And if you're concerned about privacy, we've got you totally covered. The app icon and push notifications say H Wellness. So if someone happens to see your screen, you won't disclose your status unintentionally. And if you're enjoying the podcast, or if you have something you'd like to share, please let me know in the comments because I would love to hear from you. Thanks again for tuning in, and I will see you the next time on the Herpes Wellness Podcast. Bye for now.